Hey guys, this is Coach Adrian. Today we're going to be doing a pretty big lesson over converting the advantage, just converting the material advantage to be specific. So basically, whenever you have an extra material, there's a few ways you can go about it depending on the position. So you want to remain flexible about these three things. So you can have A, exchange material, so just trade off, simplify. That's what we call it in chess. B, use your extra material to attack, or C, a mix of both. And so there's a few key things that we have to remember here. One, it depends on the position, right? But let's say this position, for instance, it basically takes out any other compensation that your opponent may have with this workout position. So right now I'm on chesskid.com and I went to the learn tab, picked out the workouts and went all the way down. I believe it was like the third page. But anyways, I went to the one with an extra queen. So I'm up 9 points and they try to make it to where it's not any other compensation or any other imbalance on the board. So that's why they have it on the original setup here, which is really good practice because you just want to practice where you're just up a queen and see if you can simplify and don't allow your opponent any complications. So I'm just up a queen. There's no compensation for my opponent. So what I want to do first, if I want to trade, I need to develop all of the pieces. They have to be working. So if they're not working, then get them out, because you're not going to be able to trade your extra material if they're on the back rank, and you're not going to be able to attack your enemy if they're on the back rank. So all in all, you need to have your extra material put to use. So here he has knight f6 attacking the pawn on e4, so I'm going to develop and protect at the same time. Notice how my opponent is having kind of a reserved approach, and the whole idea is that he doesn't want to trade. He probably even wants to slowly develop, have a close position, and only open it up when it's favorable to him. But since I'm up a queen, it's probably never going to be favorable for him. So let's say bishop to e2. I'm just developing here. I could also play bishop to c4. There's plenty of good moves here. Okay, now after step one, because see, step one is pretty it takes a while, it takes a few moves. But step two would be offer trades. Once you offer trades equally and on your own terms, then you're just winning. So here he plays h6. I would love to trade here. Now my opponent, the reason why he played h6, there is a slight imbalance here. And the imbalance is I traded my dark squared bishop for his knight. And so that's why he was willing to do that trade. But again, it's nowhere near enough to what's actually going on, which is I'm up a queen. It's not near enough compensation. So here he plays e takes d5, and this is a very solid structure. I want to break this up. Now I need to really get my pieces to work. So I'm going to play queen to d2 here, connect my rooks. I can also play rook to e1. This is the more natural move, but I'm just going to play queen to d2, kind of negate. I'm trying to play queen f4, queen e3, which forces the bishop to get pinned here. So I think I can play queen to e3 check. And this is, again, I'm kind of using C now, a mixture of both. Now, if your opponent does have compensation, because it won't always be this sweet where you just get up 9 points and then you're just winning. No. Sometimes your opponent has compensation, and then the very first step would be to consolidate your advantage in material, meaning that you have to stop or prevent all of your opponent's counterplay. So here, I want to play a discovery attack. So if I play 95 with a little bit of calculation, should be able to get in some more trades. What is 95 doing though is what I have to ask. 95 getting ready for maybe bishop to d3. I like this move. It's so strong. Is he going to play bishop f5? Maybe I should play bishop to d3, discover check first. And now after king to f8, he's looking to artificially castle. So my opponent is trying to switch it up just a little bit, but it's not doing him too well. King to g7 for sure. Yeah. And maybe my queen can go to f4 now, put pressure on f7 if this knight ever moves. And then my next route would be, so notice now my pieces are starting to get more aggressive. Another big thing that I did not say at the beginning of this video is that you want to notice what exact material you are up. So I'm up a queen and I'm up a knight. That's what I'm up. Oh, and no, I'm not up a knight. Excuse me. I'm just up a queen. I was thinking about the knight for bishop exchange, and that's something to note. So now what you do is use that extra material, and that's really going to shine through. I almost want to play f4. There's plenty of good moves here. Because if queen to f4, then he can play g5, kicking me back. That just weakens his king. So maybe something like queen to g3, if knight to h5, then queen to f3. Again, hitting that, queen f6, and then maybe h4? Possibly. So in order to attack in this position, because now I feel like I'm completely consolidated, what I want to do is open up the position. This knight's in the way. This is the problem. The knight actually needs to move. I want to play pawn to c4, attack centrally. But where does my knight move? Does it move knight e2, knight g3, f4, f5? That could be a possibility. He has to be reserved. I have the e-file too. Yeah, I'm going to play knight e2. So I have maybe c4 in mind. I also want to play like knight to g3. I knew he was going to play this. I could play f4 here, or I could play knight to g3. They're all good. I'm actually going to go for the f4 idea. And I can still mix it with knight to g3. So I do have to pay attention to my opponent's threats. Just throwing out there, I could have left it hanging and I still would have been winning. But you don't ever want to give your opponent anything if you don't have to. And there goes the breaks. The breaks are there. I actually can take this, but it comes with check. So I don't know how useful this will be. Okay, so I'm trying to offer trades. So in order to offer a trade, I'm thinking bishop to b5, the rook moves out of the way. If bishop to d7, that's a trade, two trades. If the rook moves out of the way, then I can play knight to d3, hitting c5, but opening up the e-file. So he's going to have to move off the e-file, but then I dominate there. Now I can play d takes c5, and there's no pressure on this e5 knight. Sorry guys, I can't really show arrows, so you're just going to have to follow along verbally. So bishop to b5, I'm going to try this. I'm switching back to A, mixing it up. And now here, which makes the simplification process very simple. This is his only strength is to open e-file, his rook. But now I just take care. And now I can move back to either e5 or to c5. And I'm gonna play knight e5 actually, because now this rook is gonna come to e1, dominate, maybe play knight takes g6 as a threat. Yeah, and he's just kind of fiddling here. This isn't really anything. So I'm glad he played this because this brings us to our last rule of thumb. You're winning by a queen or whatever. You're just winning by material. You consolidated your position and you're just winning. You know you're winning. The only person that can make you lose now is yourself. So the number one rule is to not play it risky. Just play it safe. I actually can sacrifice this knight here. But that'll make everything complicated. Why would I want to do that whenever I have a clear-cut win? I could literally just move this knight to safety, and I'm still completely winning. So my idea here is actually to save this knight, not to give it away. You don't want to be careless in a winning position because that's one of the best ways, or your opponent's favorite way, to get an awesome position. All right, so you have to pay attention to your opponent's threats. Do not take them for granted. All right, like for example here, I'm keeping a close eye, a close watch on this bishop to b4 move, but I have c3 here to counteract that skewer. These are the little things that I'm paying attention to. So let's say knight to f1. And this is overextended, really. And my knight takes g6 threat is back on. So he plays this move. And again, I can play knight takes g6. If bishop takes g6, rook takes e7. I think he might be okay with this because I have a dominating knight. But I think the approach that I'm going to take, I can really take that approach, and I will lose my dominating knight. And that is the simplest choice. And another rule, go with the simplest choice. But I will say that I feel that 93 is a better move. It's more efficient in going away about the position. But these are the type of things that I have to calculate. Like after 93, what happens if bishop to e6? Then the closing of the e file. So maybe knight takes g6 is just simpler and completely winning. And if he doesn't take it, then I just move and take on h4. Yeah, and now pawn to c3, and I'm going to win this anyway. So again, that move that I had to watch out for, right? Yeah, and now the idea is he's trying to double up my pawns, but this isn't really going to work because I have checks down this file. Even if he gets his rook active, it's game over. So this is a nice in-between move here. And so I want to keep everything simple. And one thing I can't tolerate is this knight, because it closes the e file, tempos my queen, and everything is starting to get blocked up. So I need to trade off this knight. The only way to really do that is if I counteract with rook takes e4, if I counter sack. But then the bishop replaces it, so I'm going to go with the slower approach. And that slower approach will be maybe queen to c1 with the idea of if a takes b4, then a4, and then, or even a3. B takes a3, b takes a3, and then play a4, get a not allow this rook to get active. So I do need to consolidate a little bit. So I'm going back to the very first step, consolidating. I don't want to play rook takes e4. Yep. Not yet, because it's not super bad. I can work around it. If I couldn't work around it, I would definitely take here. So I'm going to play queen to c1, watch over the c3 square, and also have a follow-up plan over here. And then my backup plan, or my main plan, is to play knight to d2 and trade off this knight. This strong knight for this weak knight here. So my opponent did pretty good. So I'm just calculating if I should play knight to d2 first, or pawn to a3 or a4 first. I might even have knight to e3, which is interesting, but then bishop to e6. But then I have knight takes. Yeah, so this is pretty good. Just worried about, like, if I play a4, he might have, like, c3 ideas. Then bishop to d3, knight to d... yeah, I can't allow that. So if knight to d2, c3, knight takes, bishop takes, and then pawn takes twice. So it looks like knight to d2 is an option. Is knight e3 simpler? Is what I ask myself here. If c3, knight takes, pawn takes, then pawn takes. Knight e3, rook takes, then knight takes, and then I'm also threatening bishop takes now. So c3, but now I have that hit 3 times, it's only defended twice. Yeah, I think knight e3 is probably the better move. And this also promotes a trade. If he moves rook to d8, I can play knight takes f5 at any moment. So knight to e3 is a good move. And yeah, I'm really considering knight takes f5, g takes f5, queen to... Oh, wait a minute. I thought the queen was on the light squares, but it's not. Okay, so now the computer's giving me a little bit of trouble, huh? I mean, I'm still winning. I'm still way better. But he's giving me trouble with this knight. Now the knight is starting to be a little intolerable. I want to play queen to d1. I'm going to trade. No, not yet. I'm going to play queen d1 first. c3 is something that I got to consider. So he is getting a little bit of counterplay, but I think my threats will be stronger. So c3 is coming. Doesn't play it. He does not play it. Wow, this is interesting. So, okay, well, now it's just like brute force. If I play knight takes f5, knight takes f5, stopping the entry point of rook e7 check. But if knight takes d5, then knight takes b5 will win the piece. But then after rook to e7 check, then my opponent will play king to f8. And then I may need to phone a friend because yeah, I don't think that's great. But then my bishop can come into play. Yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, so I like this move. So he will have an awesome night, but now his plan has been completely stopped, and this is trading off pieces. And again, I'm just getting closer and closer to the type of endgame that I really do want. And so I really needed to go ahead and take advantage of all of this. So I'm gonna just break them up right now. Make sure all the squares are covered as well. Play like something like queen to d2. How do you protect that? And this is just simple. Keep it simple. There was a lot of maybe even better moves, but this is just really simple. Trade off the pieces. Just trading off the pieces. And he's going to trade. He has to trade. He doesn't trade. He's trying to make things complicated, but now I'm able to maybe force a trade here. And if he moves the knight, then I have rook e7 check. So this is something that I really, really want. Now he's going to take. No. Wow. Okay. take here. I could take there next. And I completely dismantled his idea over here. So one thing, I did take that pause. I was being extra cautious. I was just making sure that he wasn't able to go with that plan. Okay, this is looking worse and worse for him. I can just move this guy out the way. Maybe bishop d3. Yeah. I think I just defeated the computer. Yeah, he's just giving away pieces now. This is completely silly. Oh no, he actually distracted me. See, that's what I'm talking about. Don't want to do that. But I'm still winning here. Just to make things interesting. Alright, so he's blocking that check. We're going to play this move. And now we can just rip open the position. Is there any checks? Watch out for any checks. I want to play queen e3. Maybe trade the queens, make it simple. Yeah, I can do that. I really can. Do I want to do it? Yeah, that's the simple version. Check. Wait, maybe did I? Wait a minute, I'm gonna take that back now. Did I miss a checkmate? Rook check. King to f8. It's queen to king to c7. I might have missed a checkmate, hold on. But this is the simple version. This is just simple. Like, I'm going to win. What's rook b7? Is rook g8 check? I don't see anything wrong with this move. I'm actually gonna put okay. I might have missed something there. I wanna plug this in and see. Check. It's completely winning. What does it mean by oops? And this is an easy conversion. I'm gonna go push, push. Push, push. F7, F8. Now push. Okay, this is game over now. Oh, frustrating. Okay. I see. There's a stalemate if I play rook to b7. But I can play check, check, checkmate. All right. Nice. So we won. I did have one hiccup there. And notice that it took me 57 moves to convert this advantage. Converting the advantage is one of the hardest things to do in chess. Despite having the advantage, you have to play gradual, slow, progressive moves that in turn get you to the win that you need. So there is a ton of tips in this video. The first one, if your opponent has compensation, which is the worst type of material advantage you can have, then you need to consolidate the advantage. You need to stop your opponent's plan completely. Number two, in order to follow plan A, B, or C, you need to develop your pieces. If your extra material is on the back rank, then you cannot implement any plan. And therefore, it's useless. You don't have an advantage. Number three, once you do have the advantage, and you have developed all of your pieces, then depending on the situation, you want to initiate A, B, or C. A is trade off the pieces, B is attack using the extra material, or C is a little mixture of both. And notice how even in this game, my opponent was able to upset the balance and create some type of dynamics in the position and create an awesome knight. You always you may need to hop back and forth. And at one point, I needed to hop back to consolidating. I didn't want my opponent to gain an overwhelming advantage where I couldn't handle. All right. The last tip that I can give is whenever you're simplifying, don't fall asleep. Be cautious. Be patient. The only person that can make you lose is yourself. So take these to heart because converting is one of the things that you have to continually practice on, and it is the most frustrating thing in the world whenever you have a nice advantage and you completely spoil it. All right. So thank you guys, and I will see you with another converting video pretty soon because this is a major topic. All right. Thanks.